Hey, today I'm going to be talking about animal captivity and cruelty in zoos. Animals all over America have been kept in captivity for decades for various reasons. These reasons being entertainment, health, or education. But is this really okay? Every day there's an animal getting mistreated in a zoo or by another company that exploits animals for money. There are a lot of researchers and scholarly articles that I have used to provide accurate information and to present people's different opinions on the subject of animal captivity. Many, including me, believe animals should stay in the wild because of mistreatment in zoos and aquariums, forced to do routines or tricks, not being able to adjust back into wildlife after being in captivity, and many other reasons. First, we will talk about the different opinions about animal captivity. Second, we will discuss why animal captivity is so wrong because of animal cruelty. Then we will think about the things that me and you can both do to make a difference in these poor animals' lives. There are so many reasons that animals should not be kept in captivity. According to Carmen Glanville, Jennifer Ford, and Graham Coleman, America has a big problem with animal cruelty within zoos or other places that animals are kept captive. They may not care about the animals, leading them to treat them like objects, or they could be hired when they were not qualified to care for wild animals, or they could not be trained properly to care for these animals. Another reason that animals should not be put in captivity is because they are sometimes forced to perform tricks or tasks that are against their natural instincts. These are animals, not toys. A lot of times, captive animals are not in big enough enclosures. They need to run and exercise regularly to be healthy. When these animals are kept in such small enclosures, they tend to do irregular things like pace back and forth because they are not able to get the exercise they need because they do not have space to run. According to Procon.com, animals in zoos tend to develop medical problems that they would not typically develop in the wild. These medical problems include depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, and anxiety. Some researchers actually say that chimpanzees that are held in captivity tend to have abnormal behaviors like eating feces, twitching, rocking back and forth, plucking hair, pacing, vomiting, and self-mutilation. As you probably know, animal cruelty is illegal, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen, because sometimes it can be hard to prove, so it happens every day in America. Some say that animal captivity is not wrong, and that is actually good, because one of their points that they make is that zoos and aquariums educate the public and allow people to see animals that they would otherwise never see in person. They also believe animals are lucky to be in captivity, because they are fed regularly and kept safe. Now, the only point that I believe makes more sense is that they have endangered or injured species in captivity so that they can heal them back to health or keep them safe. I do think that this is a good reason to keep animals in captivity, but at the same time it goes against nature. I know it's not great to think about, but that injured animal would probably have been another animal's meal. Also, it is hard for animals to go back into the wild after being kept in captivity because they are fed and cared for every day in captivity, and once they go in the wild, they're on their own, and they are not accustomed to that. So after hearing this counter argument, I still feel that animals should not be put in captivity. Some people tend to treat animals as objects, not something that is alive. They mistreat the animals by being rough with them or not fulfilling their everyday needs properly. There are several cases of animals being mistreated by employees of different companies because they did not perform a specific task correctly, or sometimes they abuse them for no reason at all. There's actually a film that I've seen called Blackfish. Blackfish is a documentary about an orca that is named Tilcum that was held at SeaWorld to perform in shows with trainers and had killed several people. This film shows the problem with sea park industry and how people are not educated enough on the animals that they are training. This film is a great example of how keeping animals captive is wrong and can have very bad outcomes. Animal cruelty is caused by careless people, but a lot of the blame should be put on the people who hire them. According to Randy Mullamud, hiring people that are not properly qualified for caring for wild animals is one of the biggest reasons for animal cruelty in captivity. For some companies, they either feel like they don't have the time or funds to hire people who are actually qualified for the job. This causes them to not know what they're doing or how to handle certain situations. Not to mention, when they hire these unqualified employees, they do not take the time to properly train them, once again because time is money. A lot of times, the head of the companies are not concerned with the well-being of the animals. They are just concerned with selling tickets and making money. This is why they do not worry about properly training their employees, nor do they care enough to go watch their employees perform their tasks. So obviously the person or people that do the act of mistreating an animal are to blame, but I feel that the management or whoever is in charge of them are also partially responsible. So there is obviously a big problem with animal captivity in America, so let's do something about it. We could try to start a national park to keep the endangered animals in that is not open to the public, so that they have plenty of space to roam freely and breed. So then maybe one day they won't be endangered anymore. Also, without constant human contact, the animals will be more accustomed to feeding themselves and living their lives how nature intended them to. Something you could do to help the animals that are in need is you could help work to change laws that make animal captivity only acceptable under much stricter restrictions, so that they can live a happier, healthier life. You might think that doing something that is this big might be too hard or that you just can't do it, but so many people before you have done it in the past. You could also protest to have a certain zoo shut down if you know that they are mistreating animals or are not making the enclosures large enough. You could stand in the front of the entrance and peacefully protest or start a petition to have it shut down. You could also push for there to be stricter requirements when hiring employees to care for wild animals. This also might sound like too much for one person or just a few people, but anyone can make a change if they really want to. As you can see, there are a lot of reasons why animal captivity is leading to animals getting mistreated. Having animals in captivity can help educate the public and allow researchers to look closer at the animals, but we cannot continue mistreating them. Some people are not caring for animals properly, and I believe that animals belong in their natural habitats. We need to remember that we do not own this planet, so we need to share it. We also have already taken up so much of these animals' natural habitats with our cities and roads, so the least we could do is not lock them up as well. I hope that you agree with me that there's a major problem in America with animal cruelty. So now that you have all this information about animal captivity, are you going to enjoy the zoo the next time you go, or are you going to take a stand for the ones that can't stand for themselves?